Hello YouTube. Turkey is an amazing country, on the territory of which there were once many ancient states with great history. From what we know, we just don't know enough, but there are many majestic monuments left from the people who lived in the past and antiquity, which can be admired today in Turkey. However, many of the structures tell us that in the past centuries there were clearly some advanced technologies on our planet. And I want to start with the mysteries of the Hittite Empire. The ancient city of Hattusa, which I described in my previous video as well. Well, it's a home to megalithic stones, sphinx, lions, and a very mysterious green stone. The magnificent ruins of this once great city, they lie near the city of Bogascoy, Turkey, and it served as a capital city for the Hittite Empire in the late Bronze Age. The Hittite Empire, it wasn't small. It stretched as far as the Bosphorus and what is today Syria. This ancient civilization was a significant superpower of the Near East, and their military incursions often provoked other great powers, such as the ancient Egyptians. Experts have excavated several ancient texts in Turkey and that show an intense diplomatic relationship present in distant times between the Egyptians and the Hittites. One of the most important discoveries at the site had been the Cuneiform royal archives of clay tablets, known as the Bogascoy archive. One of the most important ancient tablets discovered on the site, currently on display at the Istanbul Archaeology Museum, details the terms of a peace settlement after the Battle of Kadesh between the Hittites' army and the Egyptians, who were ruled by Ramses II, probably in 1259 or 1258 BC. Curiously, this happens to be the first peace treaty in history, and a copy is on display in the United Nations in New York City, considered to be an example of the earliest known international peace treaties. But the most interesting artifact on that site is a large green stone of regular shape, polished to a shine. According to one legend, it was given to the Hittites by the Egyptian pharaoh Ramses. According to others, this stone fell from the sky and fulfills any desires. It is curious that such stones are not found in the area, meaning more stones. Many people who have touched this stone claim that it literally energizes them. So when you're in Turkey and if you can touch it, keep that in mind. Now let me tell you about something else. The incredible temple of Apollo in Dima. Dima is an ancient city on the territory of modern Turkey, and it was founded long before our era. It's located about 11 miles south of the ancient port city of Miletus on the western coast of modern-day Turkey. The temple of Apollo at Dima, or Didymayon, was the fourth largest temple in the ancient Greek world. This city has preserved a unique temple, sanctuary of Apollo, which amazes the imagination with its size, amazing architecture, and carefully crafted blocks, and a mysterious column cut into even pieces. It is curious that here you can see such traces in stone blocks, similar to those found in Egypt, Peru, Cambodia, but the most interesting thing in this temple is a huge column, as if cut into pieces by an unknown tool. It looks like it was cut into pieces by the angry creator of this temple when something did not work out. By the way, the temple of Apollo remained unfinished. It was just partially redone in later times. Inside the column we see mysterious holes. The side supports are clearly made in later times by hand. Who could cut the giant column so smoothly, and how such an incredible structure can be built before our era? It remains a mystery. Now let's move on to the Chabuchet Fortress. Not far from the famous Turkish lake Van, are the remains of the ancient fortress of Chabuchet, built at the time when the state of Urartu was located in these places. It disappeared in the 4th century BC. These places are very scantily researched, although there are absolutely amazing evidence of the past. For example, there are inscriptions carved in basalt. The fortress of Chabuchet impresses with its amazing stone blocks that go far underground. At the same time, there were practically no excavations at its base. However, even what has already been excavated has shocked researchers. Recently, traces of sewage found here, an underground system of stone pipes, channels that run at a depth of 1 meter throughout the fortress. Now, this sewer system is almost 3,000 years old. Let's move on to an underground city in Turkey, Oskonak. It's an underground city that is located near the city of Avanos. Oskonak was accidentally discovered in 1972 by a local resident. At first, he found a small underground hall, but later it turned out that there was a huge city connected by tunnels underground. Oskonak is located on several level floors. Now only 4 floors of this amazing city are open to visitors, but it is known that there are at least 10 floors in it, which go 40 meters deep. It is curious that the ancient Oskonak had a complex system of ventilation, sewer and water pipes. Scientists have found out that about 60,000 people lived in the city, and this despite the fact that excavations are still ongoing and the boundaries of the city are not precisely defined. Interestingly, there are many huge stone circles in the city that close the entrances and exits to the tunnels, protecting residents from the enemy attacks. Incredible. Now, let me tell you about Patara. Patara is an ancient Lycian city which is located on the territory of modern Turkey. It is believed that it was founded by the son of the god Apollo named Patar. The most ancient traces of human activity discovered by archaeologists in this city date back to the 7th century BC. Patara is also famous for the fact that Nicholas the Wonder Worker was born here in 270 AD. There are many curious remnants of ancient civilizations in that city. For example, the Ark of Triumph, the Corinthian Temple, Thermae and necropolises, and the rest of the aqueduct that supplied the city with water from the mountains. Pay attention to how strange the stones left over from this aqueduct look. Well, there is another very interesting place, and this is the unexplored megaliths of Temiusa. Temiusa is an ancient ruined city, on the site of which the Turkish fishing village of Uçagiz is now located. Almost nothing remains of the ancient city, only a few mysterious megaliths made before our era. Pay attention to these megaliths, their unusual shape and high quality processing. Very interesting place. Well, I already talked about Van, and there is a museum in the city of Van. It's located in the east of Turkey, near Lake Van. This city has a very ancient history, dating back thousands of years. Once in its place was Tushpa, the capital of the state of Urartu. The local archaeological museum houses many ancient artifacts found in the surrounding area. For example, here is a stela made long before our era with the help of unknown technologies. Two 2,800-year-old Urartian era stelas found in the Patnos Brigade Command Campus, the military brigade, in the eastern province of Van, have been transported to the Van Museum. Three of the 3-meter tall stelas were found in 1990 by soldiers at the Urartian castle of Aznavurtepe in Patnos during an excavation to place a telephone pole, after which they were taken under the protection by the commanders at the time. I mean, this is all from the local media, so I have to tell you what we know. Two of the stelas had been on display in the Agri Brigade Command and one in the garden of the Patnos Brigade Command for 25 years. The Van Culture and Tourism Directorate initiated work to bring the stelas to the museum. After talks with the Turkish Defense Ministry, which took 2 years, 2 of 3 stelas were brought to the Van Museum. According to the Culture and Tourism Provincial Director Muzaffer Aktug, he said that the stelas were made by the Urartian king Minua around 800 BC for the deity Haldi. The stelas, which held religious meaning, were the first and only in Turkey, according to Aktug. The stela in Patnos got damaged during the road construction and was broken into pieces. We are now working to bring it to the Van Museum too. Aktug added that their protection in the military field enables the stelas to survive. Interesting. Now let's go to Istanbul and look at the underground reservoirs. When we hear the word reservoir and cistern, we imagine something completely different from what is in the numerous dungeons. Well, what should I call them? Underground dungeons of Istanbul? The local cisterns reservoirs are huge dungeons with columns, created in Constantinople during the Byzantine Empire. The exact number of them is still unknown. The most famous of the underground reservoirs is the Basilica System, located near the Hagia Sophia. Its ceiling is supported by 336 columns, 8 meters high, and the walls are 4 meters thick, made of refractory bricks and covered with waterproofing mortar. Interestingly, these columns were taken from the ruins of ancient temples. Who knows what civilization they belonged to? Look, I'll speak more about the mysterious Hittite Empire and its connection to the Incas of South America, but I will do it in a separate video. It's a very interesting observation that I want to make. And you can find my previous video about the Hittites, like I said, in my channel. I'll try to put a link in the description to this video. Look, there is so much more to show about the ancient civilization that once existed in the land that now we know as Turkey. I'll do my best, but I want to tell you about this. The latest archaeological excavations at the historical site of the 9,000-year-old Amida Mound in southeastern Turkey's Diyarbakir province have revealed new findings that shed light on the history of the region. 2021 excavations at the site were recently completed, with archaeologists unearthing several 800-year-old marble pieces adorning the Artukid Palace, the seat of the Diyarbakir branch of the Artukid dynasty. According to Professor Iftan Yildiz from the Dikil University, head of the archaeological team. The historical Sur district, where the mound is located, was home to many civilizations, including the Hurrians, the Mitannis, Urartians, Assyrians, Persians, Romans, Umayyads, Abbasids, Artukids, Seljuks, and the Ottomans. Archaeological work at the Amida Mound, which is known as the heart of Diyarbakir, has been ongoing since 2018, and there were interesting finds made last year. Previous archaeological work revealed a 2,000-year-old street from the Roman period, according to Professor Yildiz. The historic city of Diyarbakir is home to innumerable ancient wonders and relics from throughout ancient history. Today, Diyarbakir is home of the Hefser Gardens, which have been used for agricultural purposes for more than 8,000 years. The great Ulu Mosque, one of the oldest mosques of Anatolia, the Malabadi Bridge, built during the Artukid period in the 12th century. Meanwhile, the Hassuni cave city, where the prehistoric people lived during the early years of Christianity, and the Zarzevan Castle, which is a Roman military facility containing the temple of Mithraism, a mysterious religion, are also located in the area. I am interested in further discoveries at the site, including, of course, the secret religion, and connection to no less mysterious Hittites, as well as the later adherents, the Romans. Mithraism, also known as the Mithraic mysteries, was a Roman mystery religion centered on the god or deity Mithras, before ancient religious reformer Zarathustra, Zoroaster in Greek, gained influence in the region during the 6th century BC. The Iranians had a polytheistic religion, and Mithra was the most important of their gods. First of all, he was the god of contract and mutual obligation. In a Cuneiform tablet of the 15th century BC that contains a treaty between the Hittites and Mitanni, Mithra is invoked as the god of oath. Furthermore, in some Indian Vedic texts, the god Mitra, the Indian form for Mithra, appears both as a friend and as a contract. The word Mitra may be translated in either way, because contracts and mutual obligations make friends. In short, Mithra may signify any kind of interpersonal communication and whatever establishes good relations between people. Mithra was called a mediator. Mithra was also the god of the sun, of the shining light that beholds everything, and hence was invoked in oaths. The Greeks and Romans considered Mithra as a sun god. He was probably also the god of kings. He was the god of mutual obligations between the king and his warriors, and as such, the god of war. He was also the god of justice, which was guaranteed by the king. Whenever people observed justice and contract, they venerated Mithra. Again, although inspired by the Iranian worship of the Zoroastrian divinity Yazata, Mithra, the Roman Mithras, is linked to a new and distinctive imagery, with the level of continuity between Persian and Greco-Roman practice debated. Well, the mysteries were popular among the Imperial Roman army from about the 1st to the 4th century of our era, or AD. Worshippers of Mithras had a complex system of 7 grades of initiation and communal ritual meals. Initiates called themselves syndexioi, those united by the handshake. They met in underground temples, now called Mithraea, and which survive in actual large numbers. The cult appears to have had its center in Rome and was popular throughout the western half of the empire, as far south as Roman Africa and Namibia, and as far north as Roman Britain, and to a lesser extent in Roman Syria in the east. Mithraism is viewed as a rival of early Christianity. In the 4th century, Mithraists faced persecution from the Christians, and the religion was subsequently suppressed and eliminated in the Roman Empire by the end of the century. You see, the lack of good written sources on Mithraism is largely due to its status as a mystery religion, in which the meaning of its iconography and rituals was a secret known only to the initiates. Insiders did not record details of their religion, and outsiders did not know much about it. This obviously makes things difficult for historians, so there is much about Mithraism that is still not known. In the Roman context, Mithras was a sun god, called the Sol Invictus, or the Invincible Sun, a bull slayer, cattle thief, and the savior of initiates of his cult. He was probably also, like I said, god of the kings and of war. And that explains the religion's popularity among soldiers. Most followers of Mithraism were Roman soldiers, minor government employees like customs officials, imperial freedmen or slaves. It was also adopted by the pagan aristocracy of the 4th century Rome as part of the conservative movement in opposition to the new Christian empire based in Constantinople. There are other episodes of Mithraic myth depicted as well. These include Mithras' birth from a rock, the hunt and the capture of the bull, and a banquet celebrated with Sol, who is shown as a separate being on monuments despite Mithras' own designation as a sun god. Well, I think this reference to that Sol should be of great interest to the ancient aliens hypothesis proponents, and it should be researched further to the extent possible. Followers of Mithraism were organized into small autonomous groups of initiates. Well, initiates met for fellowship and worship in small temples of distinctive design. They simply called caves. The cave temple was an image of the universe, and it was noted that the archetypal Mithraeum, or one cave location, was designed as a kind of microcosmic model. Mithraic temples were sometimes actual caves or set against rock faces. Otherwise, they were made to imitate caves by the use of dim underground rooms or special vaulting and decoration. They were, in all cases, the antithesis of the classical temple, entirely lacking in exterior decoration and grandeur for public ritual. One unvarying feature of Mithraic temples is a pair of platforms flanking a central aisle. These furnishings were used for a communal meal. Based on the reliefs that show a feast between Mithras and the sun god, this ritual meal was the human counterpart of the divine banquet. The creation of the world is the central episode of Mithraic mythology. According to the myths, the sun god sent his messenger, the raven, to Mithra and ordered him to sacrifice the bull. Mithra executed the order reluctantly. In many reliefs he is seen turning aside his face in sorrow. But at the very moment of the death of the bull, a great miracle happened. The white bull was metamorphosed, turned into the moon. The cloak of Mithra was transformed into the vault of the sky, with the shining planets and fixed stars. From the tail of the bull and from his blood sprang the first ears of grain and the grape. And from the genitals of the animal ran the holy seed, which was received by a mixing bowl. Every creature on earth was shaped with an admixture of the holy seed. One Mithraic hymn begins, "Thou hast redeemed us too by shedding the eternal blood." The plants and the trees were created. Day and night began to alternate. The moon started her monthly cycle. The seasons took up their round dance through the year. And thus time was created. But awakened by the sudden light, the creatures of the dark emerged from earth. A serpent licked the bull's blood. A scorpion tried to suck the holy seed from the genitals. On the reliefs of a lion often is also seen with the bull's death and the creation of the world. The struggle between good and evil began. Thus is the condition of human life. The raven symbolizes air, the lion symbolizes fire, the serpent symbolizes earth, and the mixing bowl symbolizes water. So the four elements, air, fire, earth, and water, came into being, and from them all things were created. After the sacrifice, Mithra and the sun god banquet or dined together, ate meal and bread, and drank wine. Then Mithra mounted the chariot of the sun god and drove with him across the ocean through the air to the end of the world. The Mithraic caves were decorated with frescoes, reliefs, and statues of minor deities and of the planetary gods. So I'm very much interested to see further excavations by Turkish archaeologists at that site, and what we can learn about this mysterious religion, and of course discoveries going back thousands of years before, even before Urartu. Very interesting. So I will tell you more about Turkey because I have some more materials, and it's a very interesting land for those who love ancient history, and very interesting hypothesis. If you can support my research, please find the links in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel and tell others. Thank you.